what you can do after you installed all your software and stuff is you can go through and set up user accounts. Okay, so you can transfer any user data over. You can set up accounts, whether they're local or domain, whatever the case may be. Okay, so within Windows, there's a couple different applications or utilities that are available to help you copy data over. If you're just doing small business or individuals, you can use the Windows Easy Transfer. Okay, now this one, for lack of a better term, is basically dumbed down to make it easy for novice users. Okay, for end users at the house or something like that. Okay, for companies and businesses, we have the user state migration tool. This is a command line based, so you have to actually open up a command line, type in the code or type in the commands and everything like that to actually get you through copying all that information over. Okay, but these are a couple different ways that you can actually go through and move data from one area to another, or from your old computer to your new computer. Okay, so this is the Windows features I was telling you about. Mine's finished over here, so you can kind of see what features are installed. So you can kind of see both of them here. You've got Internet Explorer 11, so if you don't want that, you can uncheck it. You got these that you can expand, and you'll notice that it's only certain when it's kind of blocked out like that, and then you only got certain ones selected. Okay, so one thing you'll notice when we get to the networking chapter is that Telnet is a utility you can use to troubleshoot networking, and is not turned on by default. So I can go in here and turn both of these on, click OK. It's going to then go through and install those features within Windows or using Windows. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so you can see here, just choose what you want turned on, turn off what you want. The only thing that you need to kind of keep in mind is anything you turn off, it's not going to free up that much space. Okay, it's essentially to turn it off if you don't want to use it. Okay, that's about the only concern there. Let's see, with large companies and stuff like that, things are going to be a little bit different. Meaning, the way you install the operating system is actually going to be different than your home users. Okay, so we're going to look at a little bit some deployment strategies for your Windows. Okay, so basically how you're going to get your installations out. So for instance, let's say that I'm here on campus and I want to push out Windows 10 to an entire computer lab. Okay, so this would be a deployment strategy. Okay, basically trying to figure out how I can quickly and easily get 15 to 20 computers installed with Windows without having to take me 2 weeks. Okay, so this can include everything from installing the OS to transferring user application settings, all that kind of stuff within a new installation. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can do this. I don't necessarily agree with their terminology here, but I'll kind of tell you what how I've come to understand this. Okay, so you will not find this terminology on the exams, the high touch and all that kind of stuff. You won't find that on the exams. So high touch with retail media, basically what they're talking about here is a DVD install. Okay, this one is going to be by far the slowest and least customizable. Okay, because you're going to have to physically sit down at every computer, install the operating system, and then you'll have to go through and update the drivers, download all the updates, install. So, you're having to basically start from scratch on every computer. So a computer lab would take you essentially a couple weeks. Okay, so it's very slow process. Not only that, but then you got to use, your USMT or something like that to pull across any data from previous computers. Okay, then you have high touch with a standard image or an image. Okay, what an image is basically where you get a computer set up exactly how you want it. Okay, you install the operating system, you get all your devices working, you install updates, you install the software you want, then you go through and you set up an image. Okay, so it takes literally a bit by bit. So it takes like takes a picture of that machine, And basically, when you copy one image to another, it takes an exact copy of that image and then downloads it to another computer. So the nice thing with this is my computer that I have all set up, I create that image, I then copy it to the computer next to it. As soon as that copy is finished, I reboot the computer and that computer is ready to go. Okay, so that's why this one is, so well received for dealing with large number of computers. So with an image, I can go from 2 weeks of installing a computer by doing DVD installs to a few hours, okay, depending on the image itself. So to do this, you have to use the Windows Automated Installation Kit, or AIK. Okay, that can kind of step you through creating the image, prepping it, and all that kind of stuff. Now, once you get the image created, you have to decide how you're going to actually deploy it. And that can be done in a couple different ways. Okay, so this is a light touch high volume. This is going to be using an image as well. So actually the next couple slides are going to be dealing with this type of installation. So basically, once you have an image ready, and this is where I don't agree with their terminology. Once you have an image ready, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can download that image onto a disk or a USB drive and then just copy it per machine. Okay, that's still going to drastically improve your time because, like I said, once that image is copied, then once it reboots, you're good to go. Okay, so that's one way. Another way is by creating an image and then putting it out on a network share. Okay, so with that one, you would actually boot up the computer. You still have to sit at the computer, but you boot up the computer. You would then point it to that network share and then pull down that image. Okay, obviously this one is going to depend on your network throughput, but the faster your network, the faster that installation can take place. Okay, and then another option is to do like a zero touch, which I think is what they use zero touch here, but basically a zero touch high volume deployment where basically you're using an image, you're using a network share, but instead of actually sitting down at each computer, your computers are set up with a BIOS or a UEFI that allows you to boot straight to the network. So you would basically go in and set up your UEFI so that when you reboot, it automatically looks to the network. Then it'll point to that network share, and then it'll pull down that image. Same thing it was doing before. The only difference here is this is automated. So you can a network administrator can sit in their office and then tell an entire lab to reboot and to look at this image and then pull it down. So again, you're going from several weeks or a couple weeks with the DVD install to a few hours with the image install. The zero touch, you can do an entire lab, in probably an hour or two, depending on your network throughput. Okay, so it really takes deployment to a whole new level. Okay, I'm hoping we'll have the opportunity here in the near future to be able to practice this in some of our labs. Right now, we just don't have the technologies to do this. Okay, so the last thing with this chapter is actually looking at the USMT tool or software. Okay, so with this, it's built into the AIK software, so you download and install that. Okay, you copy the USMT program files to the source computer. Then you run a scan state. And what that scan state is going to do is it's going to go and capture everything on that computer. Okay, it's going to scan it so it gets all the settings, all the user data, all the programs, all the operating system files. Okay, then you go through and kind of tweak the installation. Okay, so this is strictly dealing with user data, so that's why it says to go through and install Windows. Essentially, you could still do an image. Okay, so install Windows with an image or through a DVD, whatever the case may be. Once you have that destination computer up and running, you then load the software onto the destination computer, run the load state. It's going to take everything that was copied and then load it onto that new computer, and then you're good to go. Okay, so that's how the USMT software works. All right, so that's chapter 8. That's we've kind of gone all the way through planning and installation, actually installing, and then what to do after the install. Okay, so next we'll be dealing with Chapter 10 next week, but hopefully, if you have any questions, please post those on our discussion boards. All right, have a great week.